Relations class. For my final project, I had to do a research paper on a cultural group present in the United States today. So I chose American Indians because I find it really interesting to learn more about them, and because they're a decreasing population in the U.S. So the agenda, first I'm going to talk about the historical background. I'm going to talk about the cultural recognition, attitudes, beliefs, and values, stereotypes, and misperceptions, and a wow moment that I found in my research. So Indians were said to be here before Christopher Columbus even came to America, and they came from the Berlin Land Bridge from Asia into Alaska, and this was late in the Ice Age, and it was believed that they came here about 12,000 BC. So after the Ice Age, the weather was perfect for growing crops, such as cultivating corn and squash, so a lot of them did that. They raised turkeys, llamas, and guinea pigs for food. They hunted deer, and they also hunted sea animals and fish if they were on the coast near waters. And then the Europeans started to invade the Americas, and they brought a lot of diseases with them that killed off a lot of the Indians. And they would fight the Native Americans. So, because they wanted to start colonizing America to develop new farmlands and to create jobs for the increasing population that was coming into America. So the Europeans won against this because they had the immunities to their own diseases they brought, and they also had more weapons that they could fight with rather than what the American Indians had. So a lot of the Indians were defeated, and the few that were remaining, they moved up to reservations. And just an idea, a reservation are pieces of land that were given to the Native Americans, and the government has some control over that. And right now there's about 300 reservations in America. So their cultural recognition, they are known today by the ability to make clothes, artwork, tools, instruments, and other weapons. So their clothes, the women were in charge of this. They would bring the threads together, and they were the seamstresses, and they would add colors by weaving them into the clothes, and they would add beads and feathers into this. The headdresses were worn by the chiefs and warriors, and the feathers on them were given to them in honor of good acts. Face paint and symbols I'm going to talk about on the next slide, because the color of paint on their faces meant different things depending on if they were in battle or not. And then musical instruments, they also made their own musical instruments. They made flutes that were similar to recorders today, and then they also made like rattles, which were with turtle shells and seeds. And then all of the animal products went to use. They were never wasteful. So this is what I meant about the face painting. So each color means something different. So so the color meaning of symbolism of face paint. So black means victory and success, but in war paint, so if they were in war and they had it, it would mean power, aggression, and strength. Red would normally mean faith, beauty, and happiness, but in war, it means blood, violence, and energy. So you can see how these colors differentiate between their symbol and then actual in the war. And then they also had a lot of symbols too. So these are just some of them: teepee, Indian campfire, good and bad. And then some of their attitudes, beliefs, and values. They believed in animism, and it's a religion based on the spiritual idea that the universe and all natural objects within the universe have souls or spirits. So they believed that not just humans did, but animals, plants, trees, and rocks. And they believed that thunderstorms had like souls. So they believed in a medicine man who had special powers and could heal them. So and he could also control the hunt and predict the future. So they would do a lot of dances to reach out to the medicine man. And they were religious dances and ceremonies. and a lot of these dances were around the time of their agricultural period. So they would do rain dances so that it would rain so that their crops would grow. They would do deer dances, corn dances, buffalo dances. There's a whole list. And then some stereotypes about the Native Americans is they were negatively portrayed in the 18th and 19th century. I learned this in my art history class last semester. So in a lot of the pictures, it would make them look uneducated, and it would make them look like they were attacking the white people, and a lot of times showed them capturing white women. So it made them look like fighters and savages, and they looked really uneducated in the pictures. They would portray them that way. And they're also, a stereotype is that they're alcoholics, and they're not. And then, as I said, uneducated, and then that they were prone to violence because of these pictures. And then a wow moment that I found in my research was Indians are a lot of times used for mascots. And there was a high school called Prison Valley High School, and they have the Indians mascot. And then there was another high school called Adori High School, and the one made a sign, the one cheerleader made a sign, and it said, "Hey Indians, get ready to leave the Trail of Tears." And a lot of people were offended by this because the Trail of Tears was when the U.S. Government forcibly removed the Indians from the Southeast. So they were really offended by this. And then two other mascots that they've been offended by recently are the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians. And for this, a lot of them are offended. You could see the mascot. It's the Cleveland Indians, for example. It has the scarlet face, and they didn't like this because it has the beak nose, and it's kind of like a caricature. And then for the other mascot, the Redskins, the reason they don't like that is because they were called Redskins. It was created by earlier settlers in reference to their skin tone. So when European Americans needed to communicate with the Native Americans for negotiating treaties, they would call them Redskins. So this is very offensive towards them. So this is all endorsing the stereotype. And in conclusion, they're a very interesting cultural group. They have many values, beliefs, and attitudes that are held closely, and the population is decreasing in America today. They do have, on reservations, they do have what's called tribal colleges. So these colleges are centered around Native Americans and their education. So there's very few of those today, and they are decreasing. And then there are many stereotypes presented today. So society is sort of endorsing these stereotypes by having the mascots. And then these are my sources. Are there any questions?